Yes, Sister Lim has a question.
Yes, Bhante, good day to you. Just a very quick question. You mentioned something about Vesak Day. Uh, Malaysians in particular, we visit the temples and we do Dāna, almsgiving to the monk. And is that a rite or ritual? Because I feel that even though if it is seen as a rite and rituals, it is still positive because first the monks get their alms, the temples get their donations to do their action in compassion. So there's a little bit of is that a rite or ritual? Even though of course we feel good, but it's still positive. So is that a rite or ritual? I just want to know because there are some people who say, oh, that's a rite and ritual. So thank you.
Yes, it's a good question because I also mentioned it during the talk, of course. It definitely is part of rites and rituals. It's a big part of it. If what it can it be part of the practice? Of course. Obviously, Lord Buddha was the first one to encourage us of the importance of the upasakas and upasikas, the lay community, to support, because that is why we always encourage laity to offer dāna. I mean, that's how we live. That's how I live. Now, when it becomes simply like we have to do this, we do this, it's a customary thing, we do this, then you've walked into the rites and ritual domain. Unfortunately, my experience throughout my life, actually, not just in Buddhist circles, but even years earlier as a Christian, I've seen this, where you look even with a set of tweezers, like, in a haystack, trying to find the meaning behind this, and you won't find it. Why? Because people have killed it. Now, years later, decades later, as a Buddhist monk now, I see this to be, unfortunately, the case. Where people go to the temple, they do the offering, they come out, sila is not there. Sometimes actually people say, well, I've done my dāna, so I don't have to practice the 3 trainings. They believe that. And they also believe that they're not doing rites and rituals. So your belief has nothing to do with this. The intention is extremely important. Cetana is number 1, Lord Buddha talks about. Cetana is number 1. Now, you go ahead and you make an offering to a bhikkhu or to a temple, and you have the purest of intentions. You're thinking about nothing other than the Dhamma. But the bhikkhu, on the other hand, or the temple, might use that money that you worked so hard for, and you drove and you came all the way through traffic, and KL can be very much full of traffic, right? And you drove and you got there and you made this offering, and you had to wait in line. They use it for a different purpose. Adham. But nevertheless, one person in this dyad, to use the concept of dyad, one person, however, did have the right intention. That one person will benefit wholly. The other one will not. Okay? So one person came with Dhamma, the other one is living with Adhamma. This is one point that I would like to make in my response to you. Now, the other thing is, I've noticed a lot of carelessness throughout my life when people make offerings. They just think that their responsibility lies within, I'm making this food and just giving it so that, my grandmother used to tell me to, or my mother expects me to go and pay, put like in an envelope and do this, give. And that's the end. So my portion of the transaction is over. That is adhamma. And I've seen this for many, many years as a Buddhist upasaka, and now also as a bhikkhu, within Buddhist circles, I mean. So we need to be responsible. So there is a responsibility when you are giving dāna. Let's not be fooled into thinking that there isn't. Absolutely there is. I've jokingly, when I was doing a retreat in Sydney, Australia, a few weeks ago, I mentioned how this happened to me in KL. This happened to me also, I think, when I was in Milan, where I would notice lay people or anyone who's, like, and they would scout with their eyes to see who's the most senior monk. Senior as in, how long they've been a monk. And sometimes they would really do some inquisitive work and they go around asking other people, so how many years has this been a monk? Why? Because somehow someone had told them, instructed them, that if you go and make the offering to that one over there versus the other, you're going to gain more merits. You're actually doing better work if you're giving it to that older monk. This is Adhamma, completely. This is complete nonsense. It's rites and rituals. And remember, one of the things that will drop, and one of the litmus test items, I call it, for being a Sangha, meaning a person who has seen Nibbana, meaning a Sotapanna, stream winner, is the first thing that drops is your adherence to rites and rituals. You don't care about them anymore. And if you do Dāna, that comes purely from the heart. You're completely untouched by it. And it is pure Dāna. Now, unfortunately, many people don't have the ability to see that these days, as to who is a Sangha and who is not a Sangha, meaning who is a noble disciple and who is not. And that's why Lord Buddha would say, encourage people, give. Because you don't know who you're giving to, even if it's a lay person. In the years that I've been teaching, I would tell, both as an upasaka and then as a bhikkhu, I would telling people that if you feel like you need to give something, let's say, to a homeless person, okay, and then you were intending on giving it to the bhikkhu over there, who's living in a nice roof, like house, they have food, they have a car, they have transportation, but you saw this homeless person on the sidewalk. I encourage people to go ahead and change the direction. Use the temple to go and meditate, but give the red envelope to the layperson lying on the ground. Because you don't know if that person might be a noble disciple. You don't know, you can't tell. But we presume that the monk who's living in the temple must be a noble. No, that is wrong. There have been arahants in the last century who have come out, who even said, and they are absolutely right in saying that in hell, it's well occupied with bhikkhus and bhikkhunis nowadays. There's countless monastics there in hell. Because when a person is making an offering, a layperson who's coming and giving their livelihood, their money to you, there's so much beauty there. The universe is conspiring to create something beautiful that to happen, but the other person doesn't deserve it. And there is such a thing. So that then means what I'm encouraging the people to do is to also bear the responsibility of the giving. So do your research. Don't go by simply the name of the person, how much following they have. Be scrutinizing. Does this person even live like a bhikkhu or not? Many bhikkhus today live like royalty, like celebrities. Ask yourself, not them. Do I see this person's behavior reflecting of what a bhikkhu is supposed to be? Well, I don't know what a bhikkhu is. Okay, then go ahead and find out. In the suttas, you need to look at the suttas, and then you need to look at the bhikkhu that you're venerating. This is what I saw a lot in KL. Okay? Not just in KL, Singapore, other places. You see this. In Los Angeles, I used to see this. So do your due diligence. So yes, it has a lot to do with you making the intention to give the offering, yes, but that doesn't get you off the hook, as they say in English. You have a lot of responsibility there. Am I promoting Adhamma with this donation? Many people, unfortunately, are. But because of their intention being pure, they're not affected. However, the Sāsana is. When a bhikkhu doesn't sit down and meditate, when they just go into the temple to chant and chant and chant to get more supporters, when they add several wings to the temple, make it bigger, or buy or get more land that is never used, or is in fact is left to their family members somewhere. This is Adhamma, folks. But how are they getting it? They're getting it from the laity. And that's one of the reasons why the Sāsana is dying, because there is irresponsible behavior on behalf of the laity, to at least not to call them out, saying, Bhante, with all due respect, I come from Metta, I just want to know, how is this behavior matching that? It's your right. You are giving us food. Please don't forget that. It's your responsibility. If you go to an eye doctor and your eye has glaucoma, and the doctor has all the degrees and all the licenses and certifications, and you look at their record and they've done thousands of these surgeries, you go in, and if you expect something from them, you didn't expect them to do a good surgery. In fact, the best surgery, because it's your eye. You don't go to a mechanic to do the job of fixing your eye. So these professions I hold tremendous respect towards. So we need to have that attitude. If the surgeon is saying, I'm a surgeon, well, they're doing the job of a surgeon. The mechanic is saying, I'm a mechanic, I'm fixing cars. I'll take my car to them. But if I'm taking my heart, my mind, my future to the temple, to the bhikkhu, well, I'm supposed to expect from that bhikkhu guidance. And the best way to guide people is through role modeling in our area of expertise. And our expertise should be the life of a monastic that is not centered on money or building temples. It is first and foremost to make sure that I, as a bhikkhu, the person who's gone into the robes, has turned their back completely to the lay life. That's essential. Not to live like a lay life in clothing of a monk. That's disgrace. So the lay person has to see this and expect this, just the same way you expect a surgeon to be a surgeon. Not a surgeon who is by name or has the white uniform or name tag. No. So we have our expectations when it comes to other matter-of-fact situations in life, but when it comes to the temple, we expect something else. And that is wrong, completely. That is why it's turned into rites and rituals. That is Adhamma. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Bhante Sadhu. Yes, certainly clarified that to my mind when somebody kind of posed this question to me. Thank you, Sadhu.
No. This is a very important question. I know we've discussed portions of this question when we were in KL together. So this is important, what many people need to hear around the world. This is not a problem with KL. Let me just assure you of that as well. This is a whole planetary problem. And it's not, to expand it further, it's not just a Buddhist problem, of course.
That's right.
You know, that's why majority of the churches and cathedrals in Europe are empty. Majority of churches in Italy are empty. And it has beautiful churches, empty. So, you know, there is the spiritual and the physical go hand in hand like this. But it has to be captivated. The teachings have to be captivated within, embodied rather, within the character, ongoing character, by the way. It's not a one time, like 5 days a week they could live a spiritual life, and the other 2 they can go and have fun, let's say in Vegas or something. No, sila has to be kept by the bhikkhu, number 1, because this monk is the role model. Even as a therapist, if you're saying something to your patients and the patients see that you're living a double life, guess what? They see you're a fraud. And there's fraudulent behavior throughout the religious world. And the Buddhists are not immune to that. So we have to call them out, our teachers, with respect, with metta, but validated by the teachings of Lord Buddha. You're not making up stuff. You're just keeping the same standards as you expect from your accountant when he's doing your numbers. You have more consideration, alertness when it comes to your own financial health than you do for your spiritual health. There's a problem. Whose fault is that? Mine, the person. So we need to have that much of a demanding attitude from our religious teachers. Despite what others say, despite, oh, well, he's very respected in society. Who cares? Would he be even able to stand for 5 seconds in front of Lord Buddha? That's a question. And if I know they don't keep sila, he won't even last a millisecond in front of Lord Buddha, out of shame. So we have to live as bhikkhus as if we're in the presence of Lord Buddha. So with that mindset, go and support any temples you wish. And it won't turn into rites and rituals, because you would be offering it to Lord Buddha himself. So happy Vesak to all of you.